Guten Tag, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's go. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing real life examples of the patterns you've learned in the last video, the fractal technical analysis video. Today, we're going to be discussing the three types of bullish flats, which is the running flat, the regular flat, and the expanded flat. Once again, you have three types of bullish flats. You have the running flat, you have the regular flat, and you have the expanded flat. The example you have before you is a prime example, a textbook example of a running flat. Remember, a flat always comes in threes, right? That's why you always see an A, a B, and a C, right? Three letters to label the three critical points of the flat, right? And we know that the bullish flat has a certain formula that is used. We have an impulse, A, B, C, followed by another impulse, right? That's the DNA of a market with natural price action. You have an impulse, correction, impulse. Corrections always come in threes. Remember, we are trading Elliott correction waves after all. An Elliott correction wave is a three wave or a wave that comes in threes, right? So this is an example of a running flat. Why is it running? You may ask. Well, remember, recall that a running flat has two trend lines that are both pointing towards the upside. You have this trend line here pointing towards the upside. It's clearly upward sloping, right? And you have this trend line here that is clearly upward sloping. Since they're both upward sloping, we can characterize this as a bullish running flat. That would be the full name. If you want to just call it a running flat, that's okay too, right? The bullish just implies that you have an impulse up, correction, followed by another impulse up. When you are going upwards, right, you're in the presence of a bullish flat, right? So that's a bullish running flat. This yellow trend line here, the one on top and the one on the bottom, they are forming what's called a regular flat. Why is it regular? Because you have an impulse, A, B, C, and the C breaks the low of the A, right? If you want, I could add the Elliott correction wave here for you. If you guys are having trouble, just no worries at all. Look at that, right? It's a little bit more obvious now, right? You have your impulse, A, B, C. The C breaks the low of the A. What do we expect? The correction is essentially a form of momentum. The market is building momentum so it can shoot up. Notice that every single time. The C breaks the low of the A in a regular flat. And what do you have? You have a huge impulse. Once again, impulse, correction, impulse. That's the DNA of a market with natural price action. What is a regular flat? You have two trend lines pointing towards the downside. They don't have to be perfectly parallel. They just have to be pointing towards the downside. Both of them need to point towards the downside. Very important. That is a regular flat. Our last example is an expanded flat. Why is it expanded? Well, you have a trend line going up, and then you have a trend line going down. It's sort of forming the mouth of Pac-Man, or rather the head of Pac-Man, right? Kind of looks like a Pac-Man. If you want to call it the Pac-Man flat, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But this is an example, a prime example of an expanded bullish flat. Expanded Y, trend line going up, and a trend line going down, all right? But the top one needs to be pointing up, and the bottom one needs to be pointing downward. So the top trend line, upward sloping, bottom trend line, downward sloping. Very important. And what do you see? The C breaks the low of the A, which means this correction It's building up a lot of momentum. And what do we notice after the C? Pew! Look at that. That huge upward swing. Whenever you see a C that breaks the low of the A, it means that this correction is building momentum to slingshot. And as you can see, it's quite evident with this trend line, right? So this is an example of bullish flats. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please comment below. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a great day. And as always, I'll see you on the moon.